All right, and now we move to the main card and the main card opener in a fantastic and very interesting fight. I would say one of the most interesting fights on the entire card in the middleweight division between the number 4 ranked former middleweight title challenger in Marvin the Italian Dream Vettori, coming into the fight with a record of 18 victories, 6 defeats, and 1 no contest, going up against the number 9 ranked streaking contender with a bunch of finishes to his name inside the UFC in Roman the Caucasian Dolidze, who comes back with a record of 12 victories with 1 lone defeat. I think that this fight is pretty cookie cutter when it comes to breaking it down analytically. But the one thing we've learned from Roman Dolidze is that as much as you break his fights down, you never really know how the fight's going to go. Because Dolidze is a plus 225 underdog in this fight, and he's been an underdog in every single one of his UFC fights, I believe. I'm pretty sure every single one of his UFC fights, he's been an underdog. And he's won every single one of them, except for a decision loss to Trevin Giles back early in his UFC career. He lost that fight via decision, really just slowed down, no volume, got taken down, stuff like that. But overall, he lost that fight. But lately in his UFC career, I think he might have 5 wins in a row. 4 wins, I was close. So he lost a unanimous decision to Trevin Giles. He came back with a unanimous decision win over Leonardo Starpoli. And then he's got 3 finishes in his last 3 fights. He's got a TKO in the first round via a knee inside the clinch that broke the face of Kyle Daukaus, who I was very high on going into this fight. I thought there was no way that Daukaus was going to lose that, and he was a pretty big underdog, or pretty big favorite, I think, like minus 220, minus 230 going in against Roman Dolidze. Dolidze shuts him down, gets him up against the cage, lands a big knee inside the clinch, drops him, and puts him away a minute and 13 seconds into the fight. Against Phil Hawes, I went against Roman Dolidze as well. Phil Hawes comes in, looks to use the wrestling and grappling, gets caught in a leg lock position as Roman Dolidze rolls into it. Basically has his knee and ankle like perpendicular, pushes down with his hips, pulls up on it, blows the knee out of Phil Hawes. He can't stand up correctly, injures him in that leg lock, which was legal, and then drops him with a jab, I believe, or like a left hook, something weird, knocks him off balance, rushes him, gets him up against the cage, boom, boom, left hook, left hook, knocks him out. Just 3-4 punches, big power punches on the chin of Phil Hawes, knocks him out cold. Now I finally start to get on the Roman Dolidze train, right? I'm finally starting to be like, I've gone against this guy twice. I'm going to pick him in this fight against Jack Hermansson. Going against Hermansson, he was like a plus 190 underdog. Plus 175, plus 190. I side with Roman Dolidze. I also side with Dolidze in that fight via KO, TKO. I believe those were like plus 400 odds. And Dolidze gets the TKO in the second round, but he didn't get the TKO like you think. He was able to put Jack Hermansson into a reverse triangle. Then as he defended the reverse triangle, Dolidze rolled into the Ashigarami leg lock game, puts him in a heel hook of some sort. Then from there, Roman Dolidze or Jack Hermansson tries to roll out of it, but Hermansson gets caught in a calf slicer position. Dolidze locks up his back, grabs the seatbelt, grabs like a seatbelt on the far side of his back, rolls him to his stomach, and then is able to get him in the calf slicer position with a figure 4 on his own legs and knock him out with a TKO, basically a ground and pound TKO, belly down from the calf slicer position. One of the most creative finishes we've seen in the UFC, and one of the most creative finishes, I think it was the best finish of the year, or most creative finish of the year for Roman Dolidze over Jack Hermansson. Second round TKO. That was a fight where he was definitely losing on the feet, but once they got into those grappling exchanges, he was able to scissor sweep Jack Hermansson into the full mount early, and then, he was able to out-grapple him. He's very good from the bottom, and he's also active off of his back. And going up against a guy in Marvin Vettori who likes to, hang out on the feet and strike, that's his wheelhouse. He likes to play on the feet. He likes to strike. Really good boxing from Vettori. He has good kicks as well. Good volume striking, like he can really put the pace and pressure on you, and then he'll use that striking to get you to guard up and then use his wrestling. Good takedowns, good control from the back, good positioning from the top position. The Italian Dream, Marvin Vettori, coming off that big win over Paulo Costa, I believe. Or was his last fight the loss to Whitaker? Okay, yeah. His last fight was actually the loss to Robert Whitaker via unanimous decision. Just got outstruck. the striking of Robert Whittaker was just way too much. The takedown defense was on point. He wasn't able to close the distance. Marvin Vettori was basically a deer in headlights. I picked Robert Whittaker to win that fight via decision. That was the night where I also picked that's not where I picked Roman Dolidze to win. That's where I picked Gane over Tuivasa. I had a big night. That was the first big night I had from a betting perspective on UFC fights, was at UFC Paris. But he was able to, he just got picked apart by Robert Whittaker. Push comes to shove, he got picked apart. And going into this fight, Marvin Vettori is going to have the striking advantage. He's going to have the volume striking. He's going to be the more technical guy. Dolidze doesn't have anything on the feet except for power. He's not a volume striker. His technique isn't that good. He kind of wings his punches. He has okay straight punches, good hooks when he's in close, but striking on the feet 100% goes to Marvin Vettori. If I'm breaking it down from a percentage perspective, I would say maybe 87% to 13% for striking success on the feet in this fight. I think 87% of the time to 90% of the time, Marvin Vettori is going to be the more technical striker. He's going to have more volume. He's going to be able to hit Roman Dolidze when Roman Dolidze can't hit him. But a power side, I would say it's 80% power on the side of Dolidze to 20% power on the side of Vettori. Vettori has dropped fighters before. He dropped Jack Hermansson on the feet in his fight. Wasn't able to finish him, though, and then Dolidze was able to finish Jack Hermansson. So even though it was from an awkward position, it was a position where you're not going to be able to get out of it. I know that Vettori's a good grappler. Hermansson's a great grappler as well. But if he gets put in that calf slicer position and Dolidze's on top of him raining bombs like he was against Hermansson, I think it's very highly unlikely that we would wind up in that same position in this fight again. But if it does, Dolidze's going to TKO Marvin Vettori 100%, because you just can't really get out of that position. It's such a difficult position to get out of. Now, there's always a escape. For every, reaction, there's an equal. And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Like, there's always a get up or a defense at some point. I just don't think people have learned it yet. But we go into the fight 18-6-1 for Marvin Vettori, 12-1 for Roman Dolidze, 6 feet for Vettori, 6'2" for Dolidze. So a 2-inch height advantage for Roman Dolidze. A 2-inch reach advantage as well. 76-inch reach for Roman Dolidze, 274-inch reach for Marvin Vettori. Leg reach identical at 41 inches. Win percentages, 58% of the wins come by way of KO, TKO for Dolidze, 25% by submission, and 17% by decision. So we're looking at an 83% finish rate for Roman Dolidze. When you look at Marvin Vettori, 11% of the wins by KO, TKO, 50% by submission, 39% via decision. So a 61% finish rate for Vettori to an 83% finish rate for Roman Dolidze. Average fight time is going to be a lot higher on the side of Vettori. He not only has he gone to decision more, but he's also had more championship 5-round fight experience with the belt or without it. 16 minutes and 27 seconds of fight time for Marvin Vettori to 9 minutes and 6 seconds for Roman Dolidze. So under half the amount of time, under half the amount of average fight time for Dolidze compared to Marvin Vettori. Experience on the side of Vettori. High-level opponents on the side of Vettori. I mean, fighting the likes of Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa, Israel Adesanya twice, Jack Hermansson. But Roman Dolidze is on his way up. Fights Kyle Dawkins, fights Phil Hawes, just TKOs Jack Hermansson. This is his big, true test. Hermansson was a true test. He almost didn't get out of it, but he found a way to win. This is his big test. The number 5 ranked fighter in the division. I think he's number 5 or number 4. Number 4 ranked Marvin Vettori. This is his big test, and to be honest, unless Roman Dolidze finds a finish, he's going to get beat. Dolidze is going to get outstruck. He's going to get outstruck by volume by a large margin. I mean, volume and numbers-wise, Vettori's going to have that by a mile. You look at the significant strikes. 2.62 landed per minute for Roman Dolidze to 4.2 for Vettori. Even though that's only like a 1.5 strike advantage for Vettori, 2 strikes landed more per minute. It's a lot more than that, I feel like, in this fight, and you're going to see it play out on the feet. 44% significant strike accuracy rate for Vettori to 47% significant strike accuracy rate for Roman Dolidze. However, Dolidze is so economical with his strikes that he throws. He's slow. He's not that good technically with his strikes, but he's not terrible. Like, I'm not saying he can't strike at all, but he's got knockout power, and if he lands on Vettori's chin, he can hurt him. But Vettori's been hit with huge head kicks from Paulo Costa. Took every shot from Israel Adesanya. I mean, took big punches and head kicks from Robert Whittaker. I don't think that Dolidze is going to be able to TKO Marvin Vettori unless he gets him in that grappling heavy position and the grappling advantageous position, such as a calf slicer, takes the back and flattens out Vettori, calf slicer to ground and pound. Like, that's where Dolidze is going to get a TKO, but he is live for a submission finish. Strikes absorbed per minute, Vettori takes 3.58 to 2.06. For Roman Dolidze, defense pretty neck and neck, 59% defense with the striking for Marvin Vettori to 57% striking defense for Roman Dolidze. Even though the numbers are close in terms of striking defense, striking accuracy, Vettori outlands Dolidze by a mile. Like I already said, he is so much better with the volume, so much better at putting his strikes together. It's not going to be close in terms of volume and numbers. That's going to be all on the side of Vettori. Roman Dolidze has big power. He has big shots, but he looks for those power shots and kind of holds off until he can find an avenue to land that big power that he has, or land a big shot on the feet that can hurt you and lead to the grappling. Now, the grappling is where it's going to get interesting. So 1.89 takedowns per 15-minute fight for Vettori to 2.12 for Dolidze. Dolidze is actually not only more active with his takedowns by a small margin, but actually has more accurate takedowns. At 52% takedown accuracy for Roman Dolidze to 44% takedown accuracy for the Italian Dream, Marvin Vettori. Takedown defense heavy on the side of Vettori here. 74% takedown defense rate from Vettori to 33% takedown defense rate from Dolidze. But what you have to take into consideration when you look at that takedown defense number is that I know that Dolidze doesn't defend takedowns, but it's because he's comfortable being on his back, and a lot of the times he will allow the opponent to take him down so he can land elbows from the guard, so he can go for those scissor sweeps from the guard, so he can look to work his hips, so he can look to sweep you, look to set up an armbar, look to set up the leg locks, transition from triangle to armbar to ashigarami leg lock game, back to taking the back, going to the neck. The guy is active with strikes off of his back, really good with elbows off his back if he does get taken down from Vettori, and a very active guard, very solid and dangerous jiu-jitsu, to the point where I believe that Vettori is the better wrestler, will have better top control, will get the better takedowns, will be better on the feet. But playing jiu-jitsu against Roman Dolidze is a recipe for disaster, even if you're Marvin Vettori. So he's going to look for submission attempts. Submission average 0.56 for Marvin Vettori to 2.12 for Roman Dolidze. He's going to be active off of his back. He's going to be looking for elbows, going to be looking for hammer fists, going to be looking to roll the leg locks, going to be looking to sweep you with the scissor sweep from the full guard, looking to sweep you from half guard, looking to roll to the leg lock game, play the ashigarami, transition to the back, transition to the arm bar. If you can't get the arm bar, go to the triangle. Can't get the triangle, go to the arm bar, transition from the arm bar to the leg locks. He's very good at transitioning from the arms to the legs off of his back, and he's so active that Vettori will be in trouble on the floor against Roman Dolidze. So I feel like it's better for Vettori to keep it on the feet and use his wrestling defensively more than using his wrestling offensively. He will be able to take down Roman, but being in the guard of Dolidze, being on top against Dolidze is a big problem for getting swept, big problem for looking to get caught in a submission. Like, the submission upside for Roman Dolidze is so high, even though I believe that's his only way to win, is to either win via a submission by catching Vettori or catching him in a submission or grappling jiu-jitsu heavy style position and then landing a TKO like he did against Jack Hermanson. Like, the submission upside is so high for Roman Dolidze, and like, I've picked against this guy so many times. I pick him to win as an underdog against Jack Hermanson. He's an underdog in every one of the fights that he's been winning, and he comes off and he gets a finish. An underdog against Dawkins gets a finish. Underdog against Phil Hawes gets a finish. Underdog against Hermanson gets a finish. Big underdog here at plus 220 against Marvin Vettori. Plus 225, to minus 265 for Vettori. Vettori's the better fighter. Vettori's the better striker. He's better offensively and defensively on the feet. He's sharper. He's going to outstrike Dolidze 100%. He's going to out-wrestle Dolidze. He's a better takedown artist, the better wrestler. But Dolidze's ability to transition, his jiu-jitsu, his submission attempts, his submission upside, the danger that this man possesses from the top position on the ground, and the activity and danger he possesses off of the back, off of his back, I should say, is a big problem for everybody in this division, including Vettori, even though he's a solid and decorated grappler. Coming to this fight prediction, man, it's actually very difficult to make a prediction here. I should go with Vettori. He's going to be the better fighter, like we've already said. I've talked about it already. He should win this fight, either by TKO or by decision. But are we going to pick against Dolidze again and, where he can definitely find a submission, where he can definitely find the TKO. It's rough. It's tough to pick this one. I feel like the clear pick should be Vettori, but it's never clear against Roman Dolidze. It's never clear in a Dolidze fight. He's not that great on the feet. He's actually pretty awful. But his jiu-jitsu, his grappling, and the danger off of his back makes up for that, and then some. Man, bro, I mean, Vettori's so good defensively on the ground. He's got good takedown defense, a good offensive wrestler. Screw it. I'm going with the underdog. I was going to pick Vettori. I'm going with Dolidze. I'm going with Dolidze. It might, bite me in the ass here. It might bite me in the ass, but I'm going to side with the underdog again here. I'm going to go with Roman, the Caucasian Dolidze, to defeat Marvin, the Italian Dream Vettori, via a second-round submission. I think he's so good off of his back, man, that he's going to find that leg. He's going to find that arm. He's going to find that neck. He's going to find something in the grappling transitions against Vettori, and he's going to submit him. So my pick is the plus 225 underdog in the number, what is he ranked? Number 11? The number 9 ranked Roman, the Caucasian Dolidze, to defeat the number 4 ranked Marvin Vettori via a second round submission. The betting perspective, the only play on this fight from a betting perspective is Dolidze either inside the distance or Dolidze on the money line. You don't take Marvin Vettori at like a 3-1 favorite. I mean, everybody's been fading Roman Dolidze lately, and you could do it here. I was originally going to pick Vettori, but something's telling me to take Dolidze again. I went against my original judgment and picked him as an underdog against Jack Hermanson, where he had shut me down twice after picking against him prior to that. I'm going to ride with Dolidze here, man. I'm going to ride with him again. I think he finds a submission in his wonderful scrambling ability, locks Marvin Vettori up in a leg lock and gets a submission. So my pick is Roman, the Caucasian Dolidze, to defeat the number 4 ranked Marvin, the Italian Dream Vettori, via a second round heel hook submission. Playing the fight from an overall betting perspective, if you're not on the side of Dolidze, play Vettori as a favorite, that's fine, but I would stay away from it. I would say Roman Dolidze by submission or Roman Dolidze on the money line at plus 225. I wouldn't parlay it, even if you're on the side of Dolidze, because I could easily see Vettori winning this fight and outclassing him. But the submission and the finishing upside from Roman, I think you have to play it at some point. So I would say don't parlay it, but take Roman Dolidze at plus 225 or Roman Dolidze inside the distance, which is probably going to be plus 350, plus 400. But the overall pick is Roman, the Caucasian Dolidze, to defeat Marvin Vettori via second round heel hook submission.